Hi guys, in this section we will be covering how to install Jenkins in a virtual machine to carry on tasks related to the DevOps best practices. So before installing Jenkins, we should have a machine on which we need to create the pipelines, we need to work with the projects with the source code. So for that, let's create a virtual machine in Azure. So I will be working with Azure Cloud for creating the virtual machines and more components required for DevOps practices. So this is my account and this is the dashboard that you will see as soon as you log in into your account. So let's start in with creating the virtual machines. So I will click virtual machines. You can see there's a test VM that have been already created. I created this for my work. So let's create a machine where we will be installing Jenkins. So hit on create Azure Virtual Machine. You need to select in which resource group you will be creating this virtual machine. So I have already created a resource group which is CI/CD tools. Specifically for Jenkins, as Jenkins is regarded as a CI/CD tool. I will name it as VM Jenkins. Region I will select East US. I don't want any availability zones for this. I will keep the image as it is. Size, I will look for the sizes. So you can click all sizes. You will see all this page where bunch of different options are available for selecting from the VM. So generally I used to filter it out with the cost. So I think I will go with 8 gigs of RAM, which is G2S V3 version. So let me select it. For the authentication type, I will be going with the default case, which is SSH public key, where I will be generating a new key pair for logging in. Okay, next move to disk. I will change it to standard HDD as I don't require any much space for the disk. For the networking, it I will select delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted, just for ease when I'm deleting the instance. Management, nothing have to be changed. Monitoring, I will disable boot diagnostics. Advanced, jacks, nothing have to be changed and we can review and create. So let's create it. By the way, if you want to just give a quick view on what you have selected, you can check all the options on this page and review it, and once you confirm you can create it. It has given a pop-up for generating a new key pair as we have selected that. So as soon as we hit this download private key and create resource, it will download a private key with that we can use to connect to the virtual machine. So let's download and create the resource. So even you from the notification panel, you can take a look that deployment is in progress. Okay, we can see that deployment is completed and we have our resource ready. So let's go to our resources. So here you can get a quick overview of the configurations that you have for your virtual machines. So let's try connecting to it. So go and connect. So it will show you two options. Either you can use Azure command line for connecting to the virtual machine, or you can use the native SSH, which means you can use any third-party tool for connecting to the virtual machine. So here I will be using the default PowerShell tool for getting into the virtual machine that just now we have created. So click select, and it will give a bunch of commands, bunch of information that will be required to connect to the virtual machine. So the main thing that we are interested in, the third step, which is copy and execute SSH command. So basically this is the command that we need to use for connecting to the virtual machine. So let's take this and let's go ahead with the virtual, let's start our PowerShell. Okay, so I have to, so the first thing that we see in this command is this is the user ID that we have for our virtual machine, which is Azure user, and after @ this is the public address that to which we will be connecting, and this is the path, and this is the path for our private key that we will be using. So let me correct the path. And this needs to be changed as well, the name of the key. So basically dot file and ending with the extension .pem represents the key that we will be using. So it's VM hyphen Jenkins underscore key underscore 0415 dot pem. Yes. So hit enter. Yes. So you can see over here that we are connected to the virtual machine now. Now we can move further with installing Jenkins. So it's a best practice to go and check and review the documentation of the tools, because it's the best way to understand the tool and how to configure it. We can get more and more details out of it. So this is the documentation for the Jenkins. We are installing it on Linux, so I can click Linux. There will be some prerequisites, and the major prerequisite that the virtual machine, sorry, that virtual which is required for installing the Jenkins is that we should have Java already installed, JDK or Java already installed on our virtual machine. So let's see if we have a Java on our virtual machine. Okay, so we can see that Java is not there. We are seeing there are a couple of options that we can use to install Java. But for a quicker path, I will suggest, like, it's better. Generally, what I use is while installing Maven, it also automatically installs Java as well. So it's better to install Maven so that it installs Java with that. As we also require Maven to build the source code as well. So let's install Maven. Sudo apt install Maven. Yes. So it's installing Maven. Let's wait for a few seconds until it gets installed. Okay, so now we can see that Maven is installed. Let's double check it. MVN. Okay, we can check that Maven is installed now by selecting MVN-V. So we see that we have Apache Maven, and let's check about Java version. Now we have the Java as well open JDK 11. So now we are ready for installing Jenkins. So let's go on the documentation page. Generally, we usually use long-term support releases instead of weekly release. So let me explain what exactly these commands include. So with these commands, what we are doing is we are grabbing the Jenkins package and putting into the Linux repository, so from where we can install Jenkins to our machine. So let's run these commands. Okay, we have pulled the package. Next is sudo apt-get update to update the repository. Basically, with this command, we are updating the repository. And after that, we will be just installing Jenkins with the install command. Okay, we can see now we have Jenkins ready. So let's move on further to start with the Jenkins. So for starting the Jenkins, we need to enable it. So let's enable Jenkins on our machine. Okay, it's enabled. Next is to start the Jenkins. Let's start it via this command systemctl start Jenkins. And after that, let's see with the status command whether the Jenkins is up and running or not. Okay, we can see that it's active and running. So for accessing the Jenkins, we know that it's available on port 8080. For that, we can take this public IP and open a new browser and try accessing 8080 port for Jenkins. Okay, it seems there is an issue. As the site can't be reached, we are getting an error message. So we might need to debug it. Let's see what is happening over here. Okay, so we have missed one thing while configuring the virtual machine, that only port 22 is open, but we need 1880 port to be open as well. For that, what we can do is we can go to network security groups, take our security group that is associated with the virtual machine, which is VM Jenkins NSG 363. So for inbound security rules, we can create one source any star custom. I will give a range of the ports, which is 8000 to 9000. It's a TCP connection, allow, and I can hit add. So you can see it added a new rule for the port 8000 to 9000. So now let's again try hitting uh, the public IP with 8080 port. Okay, so now we can see as soon as we open port from 8000 to 9000, the 8080 port is open and we are able to see this dialog box. For first time installation of this Jenkins, we will require the admin password, which they have specified that is in this location. So let's grab the password. So let's go to this directory. Okay, so permission denied. We need to go as a root user for that. So see, oh, that's change. It's still not giving us the password. Okay, my bad. So initial admin password was a file, not a directory. So we can directly use cat command to view the password, which is this. We can just grab it and paste it over here, and let's continue. So it's asking to customize Jenkins. Either you can go with selected plugins or the suggested plugins. It's always advisable to go with suggested plugins, as Jenkins know which all plugins are prerequisites and required in order to a proper functioning of the tool. So let's go and install suggested plugins. So it will take few seconds to a minute to install all these plugins. So it's almost completed. Yeah, so we need to set a username. I will set it as Azure Jenkins, or it's better to I will use Azure user as a username. Password, you can keep any password. Full name, I will put Azure user. Email address, you can put Azure user. This can be anything. So let's save and continue. Save and finish. And we get a dialog box for Jenkins is ready. So start using Jenkins. And here we have Jenkins ready and installed on the virtual machines and ready to get it used. So let's end this video over here, and from next video onwards we will see how we can create a pipeline or a job, Jenkins job, to execute some DevOps commands or DevOps to look into it, what all DevOps practices we can do with the Jenkins. Thanks everyone.